Welcome to the Gaming Vanguard podcast, bringing you your weekly briefing of curated news from the front lines of the video game industry. I'm your host, Jeremy, and I would like to extend a sincere thank you to our listeners for your continued support of this podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest gaming news, and consider joining our community of gamers over at gamingvanguard.com. Now for this week's headlines. Tokyo Game Show 2025 is shaping up to be one of the most significant gaming events of the year, and Square Enix is positioned to steal the spotlight with an impressive lineup of both highly anticipated sequels and intriguing new properties. Running from September 25th to 28th, at the Makuhari Messe Convention Center in Chiba, Japan, this year's show is already being called the largest in TGS history, with over 770 exhibitors and more than 4,000 booths. The publisher's booth promises to be one of the event's main attractions, featuring playable demos for 4 major upcoming titles. Octopath Traveler 0, the highly anticipated prequel set for December 4th release, represents the latest evolution of Team Asano's acclaimed HD 2D visual style that has become synonymous with modern JRPGs. This standalone adventure takes players back to the continent of Orsterra, promising a story of revenge and restoration, with enhanced town-building mechanics and character customization features that weren't present in previous entries. Perhaps even more intriguing is The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales, marking Team Asano's bold departure from turn-based combat into real-time action territory. This represents a significant strategic shift for the studio behind beloved tactical RPGs, as they attempt to capture a broader audience while maintaining their signature HD 2D aesthetic. Early hands-on reports suggest the game successfully channels classic Zelda-style exploration and combat, potentially opening up an entirely new market for Square Enix's distinctive visual style. Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles stands as one of the show's most emotionally resonant offerings. This isn't just another remaster, it's a complete rebuild of the 1997 PlayStation classic, developed with involvement from original team members including director Kazutoyo Mahiro and scenario writer Yasumi Matsuno. The remake offers both enhanced and classic versions, with the enhanced edition featuring full voice acting, refined gameplay mechanics, and a more accessible Squire difficulty setting for newcomers. With a September 30th release date, fans attending TGS will get their final chance to experience the game before its worldwide launch. The fourth playable title, Killer Inn, represents Square Enix's most experimental project on display. This asymmetrical multiplayer game blends murder mystery elements with third-person shooter mechanics, supporting up to 24 players in matches where wolves must hunt lambs, while the hunted players attempt to deduce the killer's identities through detective work. It's a fascinating departure from Square Enix's traditional offerings and demonstrates the company's willingness to explore new genres and gameplay concepts. This year's Tokyo Game Show is positioned to potentially break attendance records following 2024's impressive showing of 274,739 visitors, the second highest in the event's history. With over 200,000 attendees expected from across Asia, Europe, and North America, the event has truly become a global showcase rather than just a Japanese trade show. The scale is unprecedented, with nearly 300 overseas exhibitors participating alongside Japanese industry giants. For Square Enix specifically, TGS represents a crucial opportunity to demonstrate their evolving strategy. The company has been working to make their games available across all major platforms, a shift exemplified by Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate, coming to Nintendo Switch 2 and Xbox Series X this winter. Digital Foundry's early impressions of the Switch 2 version have been overwhelmingly positive, with the publication calling it the best-looking thing on Switch 2 and noting it runs at a stable 30 to 40 frames per second while potentially looking better than the original PS4 version. Square Enix's TGS 2025 presence also includes several live broadcasts scheduled for September 27th and 28th, featuring behind-the-scenes content for Octopath Traveler 0, Dragon Quest remakes, and Final Fantasy XIV. These streams will ensure that even fans unable to attend in person can participate in the excitement surrounding these major releases. As Tokyo Game Show 2025 approaches, Square Enix appears perfectly positioned to capture both nostalgic veterans and newcomers with their diverse lineup, spanning classic remakes, innovative sequels, and entirely new gaming experiences. With this event set to be the largest in TGS history, and Square Enix bringing some of their most ambitious projects in years, this September promises to be a defining moment for both the publisher and the broader gaming industry. After more than a decade-long drought, James Bond is finally returning to video games, and the studio behind this ambitious revival couldn't be more perfect for the job. IO Interactive, the Danish developer that revolutionized stealth gaming with their acclaimed Hitman series, is bringing us 007 First Light, a game that promises to blend the methodical sandbox-style gameplay that made Agent 47 legendary with the high-octane cinematic spectacle that defines the world's most famous spy. What makes this project particularly intriguing is IO Interactive's decision to tell an origin story. We're not getting the seasoned, battle-hardened Bond we know from the films, but rather a 26-year-old rookie fresh out of the Royal Navy, played by Irish actor Patrick Gibson. Gibson, known for his recent role as a young Dexter Morgan in the Dexter prequel series, brings an energy and impatience that perfectly captures this version of Bond. Someone who's a bullet without a target, as his superiors describe him. At 30 years old, Gibson becomes the second youngest actor to portray Bond in any official capacity, bringing a modern reliability to the character while maintaining that essential Bond charm. This isn't just about age, though. It's about approach. Where Daniel Craig's Bond carried the weight of experience and cynicism, Gibson's interpretation is described as more impulsive, more expressive. Someone who might grab whatever's nearby for a distraction rather than methodically planning with coins like Agent 47. He's charming and witty, certainly, but in a more natural way. Not yet the weaponized charisma we associate with the fully formed 007. What's fascinating about 007 First Light is how IO Interactive is balancing their signature gameplay DNA with Bond's cinematic legacy. The game features those classic Hitman-style open areas where you can approach objectives through stealth, gadgets, or social manipulation, but it also delivers those explosive set pieces that feel ripped straight from an Uncharted game. We're talking car chases, in-village Aston Martins, airplane sequences where you can bank the aircraft to turn cargo into weapons, and combat that sees Bond flicking shotguns into his hands with his feet like some kind of well-dressed action hero. The genius lies in how these two styles complement each other. Bond's natural charisma means disguises are less essential than they were for Agent 47. He can often talk his way past guards using a resource called focus, which depletes with use but can be refilled by successfully managing tense situations. His Q-Watch serves as both a practical tool and a gameplay mechanic, allowing players to scan environments for opportunities, hack electronics, and even eavesdrop on conversations that unlock new mission paths. This return to gaming comes after a particularly dark period for Bond video games. Activision's final effort, 007 Legends, in 2012 was universally panned for its bland gameplay and disconnected mission structure. The game felt like a generic Call of Duty clone, with Bond branding slapped on, missing entirely what made the character special. It's telling that all Activision Bond games were pulled from digital storefronts, leaving an entire generation without access to Bond gaming experiences. IO Interactive's approach represents a complete philosophical shift. Rather than trying to force Bond into an existing gameplay template, they're building something that feels authentically Bond, while leveraging their considerable expertise in creating systemic, player-driven experiences. The fact that Hitman World of Assassination has reached over 75 million players and 25 million sales demonstrates that IO's approach to stealth action gaming has massive mainstream appeal. 007 First Light arrives at a fascinating moment for both the Bond franchise and action-adventure gaming. Denis Villeneuve has been announced as the director of the next Bond film, bringing the acclaimed Dune filmmaker into the 007 universe. This creates an interesting parallel, both for the game and upcoming film, to represent fresh takes on Bond, from acclaimed creators known for their distinctive visual styles and complex storytelling. The game's March 27, 2026 release date positions it perfectly as a bridge between Bond media, potentially introducing new audiences to the character while the film franchise prepares for its next chapter. With releases planned across PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC, IO Interactive clearly has major ambitions for reaching the broadest possible audience. What's most exciting about 007 First Light is how it represents IO Interactive at the height of their creative powers, taking on one of entertainment's most iconic characters. Their track record speaks for itself. The modern Hitman trilogy not only revitalized that franchise, but established new standards for how stealth action games could work. The fact that they've managed to create increasingly ambitious games on smaller budgets while maintaining critical acclaim suggests they understand exactly what made Bond games special in the first place. When 007 First Light launches next spring, it won't just be ending a 14-year drought for Bond video games. It'll be establishing a new template for how legendary characters can be reimagined for interactive media. Based on everything we've seen so far, Agent 007's license to kill has never looked more thrilling. Microsoft and Asus are making a bold bet on the future of handheld gaming with the ROG Xbox Ally series, but their ambitious vision is colliding headfirst with some harsh economic realities. Set to launch on October 16, 2025, these devices represent Microsoft's most aggressive push into portable gaming, and they're arriving at one of the most challenging moments possible for gaming hardware. Perhaps the most telling aspect of the Xbox Ally story isn't what Microsoft has announced, but what they haven't. Despite confirming the October release date at Gamescom 2025, the company still can't or won't reveal official pricing more than 6 weeks from launch. Microsoft executives cite macroeconomic conditions and the need for more time to figure out the macroeconomic impact to pricing, which is corporate speak for Trump's tariffs are wreaking havoc on our business model. Leaked pricing suggests the standard ROG Xbox Ally will cost $549, while the more powerful Xbox Ally X could hit $899. To put that in perspective, that's nearly double the price of a Nintendo Switch 2, which launched at $449. These aren't just premium prices, they're entering luxury territory for what is essentially a Windows PC in a handheld form. The timing couldn't be more challenging. The entire PC gaming handheld market has moved roughly 6 million units since 2022, with projections of just under 2 million for 2025. That's a microscopic market compared to Nintendo's 150 million Switch sales over 7 years. Even more concerning, the handheld PC market actually contracted by 50% in 2024, compared to 2023, suggesting consumer appetite may be cooling. Valve's Steam Deck dominates this space with an estimated 4 million units sold, commanding nearly 50% market share, while all Windows-based competitors combined struggle for the remainder. The appeal is obvious. Steam Deck's SteamOS provides a console-like experience without Windows complexity. And at roughly $400 to $650, it significantly undercuts these premium Windows handhelds. What makes the Xbox Ally particularly interesting is Microsoft's attempt to solve Windows gaming's biggest problem, the operating system itself. The device boots directly into a custom Xbox layer running over Windows 11, theoretically hiding the desktop completely. That makes PC handhelds intimidating for mainstream users. When it works, the promise is compelling. Seamless access to your Steam library, Game Pass, and other PC storefronts from a unified interface. Microsoft has even introduced Steam integration directly into their Xbox PC app, allowing users to launch Steam games without ever seeing the Steam interface. This represents a fascinating strategic shift. Rather than fighting Valve's ecosystem, Microsoft is embracing it while trying to layer in their own services on top. The Xbox Ally also introduces genuinely innovative features like holding the Xbox button to quick switch between apps, similar to smartphone multitasking, something that could revolutionize handheld gaming if executed properly. Microsoft's new handheld compatibility program will rate games for portable play, helping users understand what will run well before they buy. Technically, the Xbox Ally series should be impressive. The AMD Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme chip promises strong performance, while the lighter weight and comfortable grips address practical concerns about extended gaming sessions. The hardware feels premium, even if the software experience remains inconsistent. Demo units frequently crashed back to Windows error dialogues, exposing the underlying PC nature that Microsoft desperately wants to hide. The instability highlights the fundamental challenge. Windows 11 simply wasn't designed for handheld gaming, while SteamOS provides a purpose-built console experience. Microsoft is essentially asking consumers to pay premium prices for a compromised PC experience dressed up with Xbox branding. The most revealing aspect of the Xbox Ally project may be what it says about Microsoft's broader gaming strategy. This isn't just about competing with Steam Deck, it's about testing concepts that could reshape Xbox consoles entirely. The seamless integration of multiple game stores, the improved Windows gaming experience, and the handheld-optimized interface all feel like prototypes for future Xbox hardware. But that future vision requires market validation at prices that may simply be too high for mainstream adoption. At $550 to $900, the Xbox Ally series is asking consumers to pay smartphone prices for a gaming device with significant software compromises. Meanwhile, Nintendo Switch 2 offers a proven gaming experience at $449, and Steam Deck delivers superior gaming at lower prices. When the Xbox Ally launches in October, it won't just be competing against other handhelds, it'll be fighting against fundamental market dynamics. Tariffs are pushing hardware prices higher just as economic uncertainty makes consumers more price sensitive. The PC handheld market remains tiny and may be shrinking, and Microsoft's Windows-based approach introduces complexity that most handheld gamers simply don't want to deal with. The irony is that Microsoft may have built genuinely innovative hardware and software, but they're launching it into a market that increasingly values simplicity and affordability over raw capability. Whether Xbox Ally succeeds may ultimately depend less on what it can do and more on whether enough consumers are willing to pay premium prices for Microsoft's vision of handheld gaming's future. And finally, fresh off the acclaimed Silent Hill 2 remake, Bloober Team's latest effort, Chronos: The New Dawn, tries to chart its own path as a spiritual successor to survival horror titans like Dead Space and Resident Evil. Set in a plague-ridden, post-apocalyptic Polish city, the game blends time-traveling mystery with a grimy, mutant-infested world. But according to most critics, it just misses the spark that would set a new benchmark in the genre. Chronos thrives on ambience. Players step into the boots of the Traveler, a stoic investigator whose journey through the city of New Dawn is steeped in environmental storytelling. Think decaying architecture, eerie lighting, and encounters with both horrific mutants and unsettling hallucinations as the protagonist's sanity dwindles. The narrative stands out for its time travel twist. Through rifts in time, the Traveler can interrogate the essence of people before the plague took hold, allowing for storytelling that echoes Netflix's dark and classic survival horror. The world building and lore, enhanced by notes and audio logs, paint a haunting, evocative picture. However, some reviewers found that the plot, with its pandemic parallels and cryptic organizations, a bit muddled and overlong, noting that the emotional resonance sometimes gets lost behind the Traveler's impassive helmet and sporadic pacing. Chronos wears its inspirations on its sleeve, the combat loop, ranging from standard pistols to shotguns to limited ammo crafting, feels familiar, and the mutants that stalk ruins are likely to inspire groans and screams, thanks to some predictable telegraphed attacks. The time manipulation mechanic is mostly limited to environmental puzzles and rarely shakes up the action, which left some wishing for more inventive uses beyond rebuilding bridges or respawning explosive barrels. The most unique combat feature is that enemies can merge with corpses to become deadlier if not burned, echoing Dead Space's infector system. While this adds tension, it doesn't drastically change the most conventional approach to fights. Boss battles, often fought in tight, feverish arenas, deliver genuine thrills and showcase Bloober Team's knack for spectacle, even if the overall enemy design rarely astounds. Some technical frustrations remain. Clunky item interactions and occasional pathfinding glitches can break immersion. Where Chronos shines is its art design and sound. The game's visual style, steeped in brutalist architecture and oppressive fog, crafts a distinct sense of place that's both beautiful and haunting. There's praise for the pulse-pounding, synth-heavy soundtrack and top-tier lighting that heightens the game's tension throughout the campaign. Game length hovers around 14 to 16 hours, and there's New Game Plus for replay value. Ultimately, Chronos: The New Dawn is being praised as a worthwhile entry for survival horror fans, particularly those craving more Dead Space-style action in a fresh setting. While it lacks the originality and chills of its inspirations and doesn't quite pack the emotional or mechanical punch of 2023's genre leaders, it delivers a consistently tense, atmospheric ride that rewards exploration and tactical play. For those who can look past its derivative elements and a few rough edges, Chronos offers a creepy, inventive ride through the ruins of a broken world, and proof that Bloober Team remains one of the most intriguing studios in modern horror. That's all for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to head over to gamingvanguard.com and follow us. And check out the Discord. Any support is appreciated. And we'll catch you next time.